Hey everybody, this is the Forge Sports Media Podcast, and this is our second edition of our Disc Golf Podcast. My name is Thomas.
And I'm Trey, and we've got some great topics for you to talk about today. A couple of players leaving their sponsors. There's a new highest rated player in disc golf.
We're going to talk about the winners and losers of the Holiday Mystery Box season. And then we've also got our way too early top 5 for the FPO division. You ready to talk, Trey?
Yeah, let's do it.
Definitely. So we've got some players leaving. Who we got?
Yeah, so the first one we want to talk about, and probably the biggest name that's come out and said that they're leaving their sponsor this offseason is Anthony Barela leaving Innova.
Huge news. I mean, born and bred Innova player.
Yeah, he's been playing with Innova for the past 9 years, and he just graduated college. Do the math. He's been playing with them since he was about 12 to 14, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And that's a whole career. That's half of his life that he's been sponsored by the same company.
Yeah.
So
he was posting some videos of him at a young age, sponsored by Innova. So seeing this is pretty groundbreaking news.
yeah, it didn't seem like he was happy about leaving. He said it was disappointing. The quote from his Instagram post is, "Although it is upsetting to leave Innova, I'm excited for what the future holds, and I know I made the best decision for myself." So it seems like he's not excited about leaving Innova, but he is excited to promote himself and to build the opportunities for himself.
Definitely. I mean, overall, there's a lot of people playing for Innova these days. There are a lot of people that, though we don't have complete, true numbers on what Innova is spending on all of its players, got several big names. Germ.
You've got Jeremy Colling, you've got Nate Sexton, you've got their highest rated player, Calvin Heimberg.
You got a little Greg Barsby. I mean, lots of big name players for Innova.
So it kind of makes sense that they're allowing AB to go, but when you've got guys like German Sexton who are selling discs, you've got a guy like Calvin Heimberg who's top 5 in the world.
Yep.
And then you've got guys like Barsby who he's a world champion, he's selling discs.
Definitely.
But he's also a great ambassador for the team, along with the other 3 guys.
Oh, yeah.
And so, not to take anything away from Anthony Barela, but it does seem like the grass might be greener elsewhere for him.
Definitely.
So,
I mean, you got to think it's going to be his first full season outside of college. There's a lot of potential for AB to have a really good season, and it makes sense for him to start shopping.
Yeah, I think so. I think it seems like, he's betting on himself a little bit here. And it sounds like he's already got things in the works. So, since he's already got that in the works, where do we think he's going, Thomas?
Okay, so Trey, I think you have 2 major brands that you think he's going to. You talk about that, and then I'll give my prediction on that.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
So, who do you think is top?
So, I think the obvious move would be to move to Discraft.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the relationship with Paul McBeth and the relationship with Adam Hammes, and can you just imagine AB just destroying some forces?
Oh my gosh, talk about some people that can absolutely rip. Then you add the absolute, he crushes the Destroyer.
Yeah.
Imagine him coming on with Discraft and ripping the Force. It'd be nuts.
Throwing forces, throwing nukes, he'd be launching them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, like I said, he does have a relationship with Adam Hammes. They're good friends.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Paul McBeth comparison's young in his career.
Definitely.
I think for a bit he wanted to get out of Paul McBeth's shadow, so staying with Innova was important to him. But now I think some of that has gone away. I don't think the comparisons to McBeth are really happening anymore.
Who else do you think he could potentially go to?
I think, MVP needs a number 2.
Yeah.
Conrad, world champ.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously their top guy. But they've done so well on disc sales. They've done really great with the James Conrad line.
Yeah.
But they have not added another keynote player to add to him and Sarah Hokum.
Right.
And so I could definitely see AB again just absolutely throwing some bombs with some photons or even the octane.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine Anthony Barela throwing one of their 14.5 speed discs?
It'd be nuts.
He's
absolutely nuts.
He's like one of the few people that you can actually say, "Oh yeah, he could actually throw this disc." I'd love to see how far he could throw one of those.
Oh yeah. Now, you think that there's a small chance that he could go to Lone Star, I believe.
Yeah,
they're signing a lot of people.
They've announced that they're coming up with bigger signings than what they've previously announced. So while Nico and Chandler Kramer are both fantastic players, it sounds like they've got some more players in the works. So I wouldn't be surprised necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be shocked. I might be surprised if that is where AB wound up, but he would be the consensus top guy there, the highest rated player, the most success on tour recently.
Definitely.
But Thomas seems to think that we might be seeing a mixed bag, Anthony Burrell.
Yeah, so let's read the post again real quick. It says, later on he says, where's the quote? It's his, quote, last 2 tournaments as a sponsored Innova player. And I read a little bit into sponsored Innova player. I think there's a high likelihood that him and Drew Gibson run the infinite disc route together, 2 of the farthest throwers on tour, absolutely ready to crush it all season with a mixed bag. Though, I mean, if he wanted to, he could continue throwing all Innova if he desired to. Sure, he could throw anything he wants, but maybe, just maybe, Infinite has a deal waiting for him. So I think it's 2 people that could mesh really well together.
I could definitely see that working out. I think, yeah, like you said, 2 very impressive arms that they do have a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
They're good friends. They Anthony Burrell was recently featured on Drew Gibson's Vlogmas on his YouTube. Do go and check that out. But I could definitely see that working out very well for AB. That way he can keep throwing his destroyers, keep throwing those Halo Star boxes, but then also add in, the finish line era from Drew Gibson's line. Like, I could definitely see him throwing the composite eras and just bombing those like Drew Gibson does. And so it'll be interesting to see. I think Infinite Discs is definitely like a dark horse candidate for that.
Definitely see it happen. Now, one other movement, we've got Scott Withers leaving Discraft.
So we talked about someone going to Discraft potentially, and now we have someone leaving Discraft, which this was kind of a surprise to me, considering the relationship with Resistance Discs. They are a Discraft exclusive retailer currently, and so I know that there's strong ties with Resistance and Scott Withers. So it was kind of surprising to me to see that change, but it might be a good change for Scott Withers, as he, in some ways, has fallen kind of into the mix with some of the, I would say, maybe tier 2 players on Discraft's team.
I want to say it was his best finish of the season was the 2nd place at the Las Vegas Challenge. Was that what?
It was 7th place.
7th place at the Las Vegas Challenge. So there's potential for Scott Withers this season. I think you were telling me he typically plays better on the West Coast. Definitely be nice to see him play an entire season where he's playing great across different courses. So a lot of potential with him moving around. You say you think that there's a chance of a certain brand you would go with?
Yeah, I think that it is kind of a surprise to see him go, but I think as Lone Star has talked about a lot of signings, I could see him definitely being one of those big signings, because he's a well-known player. He's had success on tour. He's won big events on the West Coast. But it will be interesting to see him kind of step out of the shadow and become a keynote guy on a team like Lone Star.
Definitely.
So I could definitely see him going that route. I think Clash discs could potentially be in play here.
It doesn't feel like any of the major manufacturers have a ton of room to add somebody onto the team, under the impression that Scott would be leaving for more money.
That's what I would say as well, yes. Is because falling into the shuffle of another team doesn't really seem like a move that would support Scott Withers. I could be totally wrong there, but I see him really thriving in a role where he is himself kind of a niche player, because he didn't start touring fully until more recently, and was kind of the West Coast king, playing a lot of those tournaments up in the Pacific Northwest. And so to see him, kind of the niche disc golfer, join one of these smaller companies, the Clash Discs, even if Mint Discs, we haven't talked about them very much, but they don't have like a keynote player.
Right.
So I could see Scott Withers going one of those 3 places potentially.
Definitely. So what else do we have on the plate?
So Disc Golf Pro Tour recently announced that they're going to host the first ever Disc Golf Industry Conference. Now, I think this is super exciting, because we're getting to the point where this is becoming necessary for the sport.
Yeah.
If you check out Disc Golf Pro Tour's website, You can see what they're going to be doing and how they're going to be talking and what they're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
This is going to coincide with the All-Star weekend, and so they've got it set up on their website, and you can check that out. But some of the things that they're going to be talking about are things like course design with Kayla Viska, Steve Brenster, John and Dee Huck, and Leonard Mulse. Steve Dodge is going to talk about disc golf entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Infinite Discs is going to talk about some national retail. They're going to have things talking about regional retail.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of opportunity for manufacturers and disc golf accessory producers to come together and talk about how to best market their products to grow the sport of disc golf. So I think you're going to see a lot of key people. I think on the regional retail, you've got people like Another Round. There's this Birdie Disc Golf Flight Factory, Power Grip, Gotta Go, Gotta Throw. People that are definitely larger names in the scene coming through together and being able to share tips to help grow the sport, knowing that obviously each individual company wants to succeed the most, but we need the sport to grow, and we need retailers to be able to sell better.
Yeah, and I think we want the leaders and people who have succeeded in doing this to be communicating and helping these people grow. Now, it would be really cool to see Forge Sports Media at this conference.
Definitely. We've got a long way to go before we can necessarily say we're all on that side, but definitely would be ideal at some point in time, maybe the second time the conference comes around, we get an opportunity to come on by.
We would absolutely love to do
so, that. Outside of that, some interesting news is Manabu Kajiyama secured his name as the top-rated disc golf player in the world after the November update.
Wow.
Yeah, 1051 rated. So, really cool. I mean, seeing somebody from Japan go absolutely crush it, be 1051. 1 point above Paul McBeth at 1050. Though, I think understandably, there can be concern he's not playing with the general crowd, was not in the U.S. to play any of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, no Elite Series or major events. So, there's definitely some up in the air on, what I don't know much about the analytics of who you're playing with, how the PDGA scoring system actually goes to compare who he's playing as a 1051 rated player without playing some of the same, 10, 30 plus rated players over here in North America. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. Trey, do you have any particular thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, very impressive that he got to 1051 at all. So, no discredit to that. To say that he is the highest rated, but to say that you would even put him in the conversation for top 10 disc golfers, I don't think I could do that. If you look at the last time that he was playing with players that are of his caliber based on rating, he performed much worse. So
yeah, I mean, what was it, 30th at Worlds in 2019?
Yes, so 2019 was the last time that he played any Pro Tour NT major type events.
Right, which is pre-COVID, understandable. That's the last time he really had an opportunity to come and play.
Yeah, but he just didn't succeed. He got 30th and got 17th in another event. So.
Right, which isn't terrible. I mean, I would love to place 30th, but obviously it's not in the contention for the best player in the world necessarily, though a wonderful feat nonetheless.
Yeah, congrats to him for sure. But it's an exciting feat to be able to even say, oh, I got to 1050 rated. Very few players have gotten to do that.
And he had a tournament that he played in recently where it was 4 straight rounds that were 1074 rated. Very interesting, very consistent nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, it's very impressive. And
pretty nuts.
I would love to see him make it out to some NT events this year.
Definitely.
Play some Pro Tour, get back to Worlds, see if he can compete on the highest level.
Definitely. So let's talk about new discs. That's something we always like to cover. So I think you had a few waiting out there for us.
I sure do. And there's 2 in particular I'd like to cover. We won't talk about these as much, but Latitude 64 does have 2 new from their Royal line, the Honor and the Savior. They're coming out with those. But what we wanted to talk about was Innova. It's always exciting when Innova comes out with a new disc.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've got a million of them anyway, but
the fact that they're continuing to come out with new discs and not just holding to the standard, but trying to continue to improve and not becoming complacent is exciting for the sport. But this disc, I don't know how exciting this one particular disc is. They've come out with the Innova Alien. Based on the pictures, It looks very similar to the Sonic, so it's going to be a low-speed catch hybrid disc.
Definitely has a little bit of a pop top to it, I think.
Oh, definitely. It's got a big pop top to it. It has that that thumb track that's got the lines going around it.
Yeah.
Probably super comfortable in the hand, but it's going to be an extremely slow disc. But I think the most exciting disc that's come out this past week is the Finish Line Pace. Finish Line is Drew Gibson's line of discs. We mentioned it earlier when I was talking about the era. But the Finish Line Pace is the third disc in Drew Gibson's line that he is producing himself. It was approved on December 12th.
Okay.
And so
not much information necessarily on here just yet, per pretty much everything that goes through the PDGA approval. Pretty much a blank stamp disc with some weights and dimensions on it. I guess we could probably take the depth, thickness, and whatnot and come up with an idea. But did you see anything online about it, or is it really just...
This is all I've seen so far.
Yeah.
The disc, based on the picture, it looks to be a slower speed disc, maybe a button approach disc.
Yeah.
But when we have more information on that, we will bring it to you.
Oh, definitely. So I think past that, the next thing we wanted to talk about are mystery boxes, which is always a fun holiday topic to talk about. It gets colder. You don't get to play as much disc golf outside. What's the next best thing? It's buying plastic.
Always
getting as much as you can. And so Trey here and our friend Matt, they went and they got Gyropalooza boxes. You seem to really like those. Some of those discs were wonderful.
Yeah, so the Gyropalooza pack, great value on that.
How much did it cost?
It was about $120.
Okay.
It came with 14 discs.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know it was 14.
Yeah, and it came with an exclusive Total Glow Envy.
Okay.
So normally either one part of the disc, so either the rim of the disc or the plate of the disc, glow.
Okay.
On this disc, the whole disc glows.
Definitely.
So that's new. And the glow on that was awesome. Really loved mine. It's already in the bag. I'm throwing it all the time. I love the Envy.
Yeah, so I guess 11 of those were just regular factory second type discs. I believe 2 limited runs.
So yeah,
and then 1 MVP open disc.
Yeah. So it was a great lineup of discs. You got your 2 putters. You got a good handful of mid ranges, and then a lot of drivers. That was the primary thing that I got in mind.
I think what was the disc that was new, or I guess was
also in my bag is the Axiom Rhythm.
Ooh.
It's a straight to understable fairway driver. I'm really liking it for hyzer flip backhands.
What are they classified as? An 8-speed, I believe.
It is an 8-speed. It's their only 8-speed that they've got on their website, I believe.
Awesome. So I mean, Gyropalooza, from what I can tell, from what Trey's told me as firsthand experience, Matt, seems like a relatively good value. 14 discs for somewhere in that $120 range, very good. We had Ledgestone doing a mystery box. It looked like it was 8 discs, but also $120. So 6 less discs, 5 were misprint, so factory second-esque,
Right.
2 stock Ledgestone discs, and then 1 of either a first run Athena or there were a variety of Paul Ulibarri signature discs.
Yeah.
So decent, not necessarily as good of a value when it comes to the amount of discs that you're getting to throw. At the end of the day, regardless of how wonderful the plastic is to throw, what it necessarily retails at, more plastic for the most part,
Yeah.
usually better, especially when it's 14 discs for around that amount. Though Ledgestone specifically had a section where I believe that they had mystery boxes, and then it had a second release, I believe, where the first they were doing an additional 500, and the first 100 people to purchase, I think it was the first 10 would receive a Zuka cart.
Wow.
The next 40 would receive a bag. Let me see what specific bag it was. It was an Upper Park camo shift bag.
Which is a very nice bag.
That was for the next 50. I'm sorry. And then the following 40 would get a Bushnell Ledgestone rangefinder.
Wow.
Not bad at all. So 100 people got very lucky with that. I'm assuming a lot of people were waiting, refreshing their screens, waiting to get that. So decent value, though I think the story of the mystery box season definitely is Discmania. So last year, I think you were telling me they sold out like it was nobody's business. Obviously, at the back end of manufacturing delays in comparison to Discmania, kind of leaving Innova in that moment, not necessarily having as much available at their very beginning of being producing, I guess, their original line.
Right.
And in this year's, it seemed like they weren't selling out as quickly. Their primary was giving their Horizon DD1 almost a Halo Star-esque plastic.
Yeah, it's very similar to the Halo Star, and I think a lot of different companies are coming up with that kind of line.
Mm-hmm.
But the Horizon, it looks really good.
Yeah. The biggest thing here, though, it less of how well they were selling. I think that Mystery Box sold for a similar value. I don't necessarily have the count of the discs, but the specific story here is the discount code that started getting automatically applied after the first short wave of people purchasing the Mystery Box. It seemed that people purchased at full price, and then discount codes started getting automatically applied at checkout to some people, as I believe there were some that were actual players that had discount codes that could also be applied. And Discmania eventually sent an email out about it. People were asking for money back. Why am I not getting money back? I was the first person to buy it, a loyal supporter, and proceed to get nothing but a more expensive Mystery Box. And Discmania sent an email out alongside an Instagram post notifying its fans, "We made a mistake with the discount code that was automatically applied to shopping carts over the weekend. This was a double bogey on our card, and we feel especially bad because this resulted in unfair treatment of our most loyal fans, those who bought the box early." They proceed to go through and they notate that there's going to be somewhat of I think it's credit towards something. Those who purchase the box in advance at full price will get the benefit of prioritized order processing, as well as the special offer that we will message about in the coming days. If you wish to cancel your order regardless, you're naturally welcome to do so by contacting customer service. So pretty much, some people took it as, we paid more, and now we get the opportunity to buy more. Which I think at face value can seem pretty tough, but I understand as a manufacturer, it's, we're not going to be sending money back. This is a relatively fair compromise. Faster order processing doesn't make much sense because you purchased earlier anyway. And most of these people are probably going to be purchasing in the future anyway, so I think a special offer makes sense.
Right. And so that special offer was a discount was later revealed to be a discount on a future purchase. So some people did not love that, though.
Yeah, definitely. There were several comments on the Instagram post notating that, their loyalty reward for buying at full price is a chance to spend more money. And I think that's an understandable comment from somebody. I think it's a lose-lose there at that point. It's Discmania is not going to look good. The purchaser on the early onset is definitely going to lose. So overall, when it comes to mystery boxes, the winner by far, I think, is MVP.
I would agree. I will add, just to give Ledgestone a little more credit, they were also providing some apparel in theirs. I'm not sure exactly what that was. But
yes. It was either a performance hoodie, I believe, or a shirt.
Okay, great. So they did have some apparel, and that was unique to them. The other brands were not doing things like that.
Yeah, that's right. Performance hoodie or a t-shirt.
As well as a character patch. We're not really sure what that is. But
I did not look in to see exactly what it was, but yes, that was included. You're right.
And so I definitely think the Gyropalooza was the way to go this year.
Definitely. What else do we got on here? One thing that I think was recent news was Paul Ulibarri talking about his masterclass for disc golf. The Powered Disc Golf Academy, presented by the Ulibarri Leadership Institute. A really awesome way for Paul Ulibarri and other professionals to push the boundaries of disc golf in terms of teaching, while also promoting the Ulibarri Leadership Institute. An awesome way to provide money for disc golfers that are going through college.
Yeah, I think Uli's done a great job of supporting and teaching disc golf. He's one of the best disc golf teachers in the world. Mm-hmm. And so it's exciting to see him go through this process of coming up with the master class. And you can, if you want to learn more about the course, you can visit powerdga.com. And now through the end of the year, you can get lifetime access for $49. Mm-hmm. Eventually, that's going to switch to an annual fee. So if you want to get involved in this, now is probably the time you want to do it.
Definitely. And $49 seems like a relatively good barrier to entry for getting what sounds like should be lots of opportunity.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm definitely going to look into it and see if it's something that I'm interested in getting involved with. Another Yulee announcement would be the second run of the Captain Raptor.
It's so good.
Yeah, it looks amazing. They put it in the ESP Swirl plastic.
I love the ESP plastic to begin with, and I love the Captain's Raptor. What a mix.
It's a great disc, and I have not got to throw it yet, but I talked to someone who was throwing at one of our local courses, and his take on it is that it is the perfect balance of the overstability of the Captain's Raptor and the Raptor. It's perfectly in between those two, which feels like an awesome disc. The first run was extremely overstable.
Oh my gosh, they were beefy.
Oh, they are extremely beefy. I like flex forehand all day with those bad boys. But and then the regular Raptors, they provide a lot of overstability, but they're not your Firebird. They're not your Felon. But it sounds like this Captain's Raptor is going to be a little more workable, a little more manageable for a slower arm.
And given that it's in ESP plastic, it will naturally beat in quicker than was it metallic Z-esque plastic that the last one was in?
I think it was just the Z plastic.
Was it just regular Z?
But I mean, that's what it looked like to me.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think that'll definitely beat in a little bit quicker and be a nice forehand disc for some players and a nice overstable utility disc for others.
Awesome. So, Trey, what do we got last?
Oh, we talked about it last week. We did NPO, but now we've got the way too early top 5 FPO players.
We've got an interesting season. I feel like a lot of players are starting to make a name for themselves. I think last week we had the really good opportunity about talking about a specific FPO player making a very nice addition. Trey, why don't you start us off with your number 5?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. And like you said, this player had a recent signing and promotion to their top level team, and that's Macy Valadiaz, who I had at number 5. The local Tennessee player, she has worked incredibly hard to get where she is. She didn't get to play a full tour last year. She played most of the events. Her biggest win was actually at one of the wraparound events. She won one of those, and so I think that's going to propel her to bigger things, and I think we're going to see a couple of Pro Tour, not just Silver Series wins, but some Pro Tour wins this year.
Definitely.
I think, and I'm saying wins, not wins. I think she might win 2 or 3.
All right.
And so,
who do you have at number 4?
I've got Valerie Mondihano, her teammate, at number 4. Valerie picked up 2 wins this last season. She won at Portland and Waco. She got second at U.S. Women's and several top 10 finishes throughout the season.
Was very consistently there. I think there were several 4th place, a few 7th place. I mean, I think only a couple of events outside of that. Yeah,
and she was incredibly consistent finisher that I think is just going to take a step forward this next year.
What about number 3?
Number 3 has got to be the U.S. champion, Katrina Allen.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
you can never leave Kat out of the picture.
No, I mean, to go to a new company the way she did, go to DGA, she is the headline player for that company. And to go out and compete and win as many tournaments as she did last year, it was incredibly impressive. And I'm excited to see what she can do in year 2, working in with DGA and continuing to improve.
Definitely. Number 2.
Now, this might be a little bit of surprise because you're going to know who number 1 is. And you might think that this is going to be Paige Pierce, but it's not. Number 2, I've got Evelina Salonen. Evelina Salonen is a 15-foot putt away from being the best player in FPO. And
I would definitely agree.
I am not convinced that is an issue of skill. It's not an issue of skill. It's a mental game issue.
Well, you got to think, it was her first real season coming on, playing on the Pro Tour, and that's a lot of pressure. That's so much pressure.
I'm not saying that I would be making those 15-foot putters, but if you're going to compete at that high of a level and throw the disc as far as you can,
right,
you have got to work on the mental game to be able to make those putts that are must-gets.
Totally.
And so I'm not totally convinced that she's going to take a huge step forward, but I think we're going to see her make more putts next year.
Definitely.
And so I think that propels her to some wins where she didn't pick up any this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you'll see some dominating disc golf. I think there's going to be a tournament where she does figure out the putting. I don't know which tournament it'll be.
Right.
And you're going to see the potential of Evelina when she beats number 1 Kristen Tatar by 15 strokes or something.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
it'll be absolutely ridiculous.
But I gave it away. Number 1 Kristen Tatar. I mean, it goes without saying.
It's hard not to put her at number one.
One of the most dominant seasons ever, beating the likes of Paige Pierce and Katrina Allen on a regular basis.
Oh yeah, becoming, is it the first female to ever, or I guess technically speaking with the finishing of events, was the first player in general to cross the $100,000 season barrier with the $35,000 win at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships.
Yeah, she was the first FBO and first player ever to do so.
And then Ricky proceeded to do it.
As well as Paul.
Right.
And so it was exciting to see Kristen just have the phenomenal season she did, and I don't see that slowing down in any way, shape, or form.
Definitely.
The only way it slows down is if Evelina learns how to putt.
Oh, I agree completely. My number 5, I've got Valerie Mandujano. I mean, 2 wins last season just sets you up for success.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
I think there's plenty of opportunity to push the boundaries of the FPO division. I've got Katrina Allen at number 4. I think some of our prior top contenders, being Paige Pierce and Katrina, are definitely seeing additional competition really enter the sphere of the FPO division.
Oh, definitely.
The next 6 to 10 years is going to completely change who's on the front line of FPO. Yeah. We're going to see a lot more players come in. I think we're seeing that right now in MPO, and we're seeing the first wave of that right now, of women finally feeling like they've got an actual opportunity to come through, make money on the disc golf scene, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic for the sport in general.
Oh, yeah. And you've got a crowd that is so excited and willing to support the FPO crowd. I absolutely love it. Just talk about such a supporting sport and a supporting community. I love it.
Yeah, everyone who's involved in disc golf wants to see the sport grow.
Definitely.
And so for the sport to grow, it's not going to just be MPO, but FPO has got to grow as well. And you're starting to see that there are players that we're not listing. There's the Missy Gannons, there's the Owen Scoggins, there's the Alexis Mandujano, Kona Panis, people who are bringing and growing the sport.
And definitely paved the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think naturally speaking, somebody like Katrina Allen will start to pop down from her probably, was it 2nd or 3rd this season?
Yeah, I would say 2nd or 3rd.
So, love Katrina. I think she's going to have a great season regardless. I think there's going to be a whole lot more parity in general. I think we're going to see a lot more variety in who's winning this season. At 3, a name that we haven't mentioned yet, but is definitely piling up the leaderboard, is Hannah Blomroos.
Oh.
Definitely. I think it's an understandable spot. Had a really good season. No wins, at least on the Elite Series and above, but definitely plenty of good finishes in that 2 to 5 area. So consistent nonetheless. So we'll see if Hannah can take down an Elite Series this season. But I think 3rd is a decent spot to put her. Number 2, I'm going to go with Kristen Tatar.
No.
Yeah. I think there's not a lot to say. She's an absolute beast. But Evelina Salonen, mark my words, the number 1 disc golfer in 2023. She's going to figure out the putting, and it's not even going to be a competition.
If she can do it. If. It's a big if. I'm just going to be honest. If I could have done it, I would have put Kristen Tatar at 1, 2, and 3 because she is the most dominant disc golfer in the sport. Like, she's the most, not FPO or MPO, disc golf period. She had one of the most dominant seasons ever. And I'm excited to see her do it again next year.
Definitely. It'll be a really cool 2023 season. We're leading in. Right now we're filming this on the 18th. We're coming up on Christmas. The new year is right around the corner. We're excited for some more disc golf. But that's all we've got today. We're excited to continue the podcast. We've got Christmas this upcoming weekend, so we might have to push episode 3 out just a little bit as we meet with the families, enjoy a little bit of time off, but we're excited.
Yeah, we will most likely miss next week, but we will pick back up in the new year and hopefully have some exciting news for you guys.
Definitely. So you all have a wonderful and Merry Christmas. We appreciate y'all watching. We'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks very much.
I forget. I need to make sure I'm sitting up on top.
Yeah, I can actually sit back a little bit.
Let me look at your hair real quick. Oh, it looks so good. Looks amazing. Okay. I'm good. To make sure that
Unbutton one here?
No, keep it up. Keep it up.
Keep it casual today.